Hey everybody, and welcome to final round coverage from Jomez Productions of the Jonesboro Open in Arkansas. You got big, sexy commentary in the booth. We're coming to you via Skype, but we're excited to be here.
Yeah, we got a nice little 9-stroke lead for Ricky Wysocki, but it's a nice little battle for second place with JohnE McCray and Simon tied at 26 under. Chris Dickerson and James Conrad are at 24. And this course, the disc side of heaven, is a bomber's paradise. A lot of open shots. And so we're going to see the disc fly today.
Yeah, we're starting off on just a dead straight 450, a little bit uphill. Is that how you describe it?
Yeah, it's a nice little valley shot. You have a little bit of the hillside in front of you, but for the most part, you're just throwing across a valley, and it's kind of hard to throw past this hole. It's just you have that nice little backstop, and you really get to rip into the first shot of the round.
Looks like a little bit of wind action today. Ricky getting a little bit bouncy with it, but he's found circle too.
Yeah, this was easily the windiest round of the tournament, and we were pretty lucky in our practice rounds to not have to practice in the wind. So it was kind of hard to prepare for the amount of wind that we were facing the last 2 days.
I'm sure Johnny going with a distance driver here.
Yeah. Even Simon is throwing a PD2 on this hole. So I can't imagine anybody throwing a fairway driver here. It might look like it's reachable, but it is really far. It's way further than it looks.
And especially with the uphill behind the basket, really not a whole lot of benefit. Oh, here's a nice shot though, Simon.
Yeah, he finally learned how to keep that thing directly in line. He had been just off to the right or to the left the first 3 rounds, and him and I were actually both pretty ticked off because we're like, come on, we got to birdie this hole. And he looked at me after his 3rd round tee shot, and he said, I'm going to get this hole tomorrow.
Nice. So he comes through, or at least it looks like he will. He puts it probably 15 feet.
And that just got caught up in the wind there. It looks like so not where you want to be on this hole. I mean, even if you don't birdie this hole, you want to at least have, I don't know, circle edge look at it.
Yeah, definitely.
And pretty creative out there. It looks like, he had to throw it pretty high, and you never know what's going to happen putting a driver that high into the wind.
Oh, he went with a driver out of there.
It looks like it. It looks like that was a D1. I'm not exactly sure. It could be a mid-range, but...
Interesting.
Yeah.
Looks like Ricky not too interested in running that, just kind of putting it up there safe.
No need. 9 strokes.
Oh.
Wow.
Those elevated baskets, man, in the wind. Not easy. Oh, no.
And I had seen that he had started off with a 4 in this hole, and the only way that I could possibly imagine him forming this hole was a spit-out putt. So, and
good call by you, I guess, because that looks to be what we have seen.
Yeah, he had his patented stall putt that just stalled a little bit too long, and nice birdie there from Simon. I mean, that's a huge birdie in any conditions. Even in the calm, it feels really good to get it just because it's so far.
Yeah.
But in these windy conditions, that's how you want to start.
Definitely. And obviously a spit out is not great for Rick, but from a fan's perspective, anything that tightens this thing up, gives us a little drama, that's good.
Yeah, I mean he's got 7 strokes to play with now, but this is kind of, it just seems to be that Ricky has done enough to give himself a comfortable buffer, but you never know. It's so windy, we could see some a nice little comeback.
Yeah, so what do we got here? Big left sweeping par 4?
Yeah, this is a par 4 that feels almost like a par 5. There's just really, this is the gap that most players are going to go with. Really tight pinch there, and Simon did not hit a leaf all 4 rounds on his tee shot here. Just made that gap look so much bigger than it is. And this is really the best way to stay away from the wind. And the only trouble with this is obviously if you hit one of the trees early, you're in trouble. But if your drive turns over, which tends to do a lot because there's a headwind coming through this tunnel, you're going to land in that right stuff, which is Ricky's going right at. And when you're in there, there's absolutely nothing. There's no creative out. You really are just kind of stuck behind a big pile of nothing.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, you want to really rip it through this gap, but then if your disc does stand up like that.
Right, and it's really important to get a lot of distance on this hole if you're trying to birdie it, because it's so far. Even when you get to the 250 marker, which is indicated by that red and white stake, and you see Ricky, that's just not comfortable. Even when you get to where that distance is, it's so far uphill that approach feels like it's about 50 to 60 feet longer than it actually is. So getting a lot of distance really makes this hole a lot easier. So it's a really dynamic hole. It's a challenging.
Great shot from Chris.
Yeah, that's awesome. Keeping the nose up just enough to clear the hill and land inside the circle.
Yeah, I think Johnny looks like he's flipped it just a little too much, but I think, 820 par 4, you're not going to see a whole lot of par 4s longer than that.
Yeah, there's a couple out here that feel almost like par 5s. Hole 18 comes to mind, where it's just so tough. It really requires 2 amazing shots, which is the next level of hole design. I feel like traditionally we play a lot of par 4s that are 1 great tee shot is all it takes to really get yourself in position to get a pretty easy birdie. A nice recovery shot from Ricky.
Absolutely.
And but this is a next level par 4 design where you have to. It really takes 2 incredible shots, and you have to earn your birdie from start to finish.
Oh, Simon.
And that's a surprise to see. He was perfect in 4.5 consecutive rounds inside the circle. He was going for his 5th consecutive round without missing 1 single putt, and he finally missed a couple putts in the back 9 of the 3rd round. But he has been so on fire with that putt. So surprised to see him miss that one, but a nice
missed
birdie
opportunity early.
Yeah, but incredible birdie there from Chris to jump back on after his bogey start on hole 1.
Definitely. So this hole kind of reminds me of hole 1. I mean, not that I've been to this course. I'm just in the commentary booth checking out these amazing flyovers. But how does it play? Does it feel kind of similar? Just sort of a straight shot, rip it low, hit the hill?
Yeah, it seems like it's up to 60 feet, 70 feet shorter, even though it only says 15 feet shorter. And I think it's just because it's not quite as uphill. Hole 1 is really just, it's just really up there, and the valley is a lot more intense. So I actually was throwing a fairway driver on this hole, whereas I would never do that on hole 1.
Oh, no, Simon.
And this hole seemed to be playing a lot more difficult with the wind. However, it didn't play as far, but the wind seemed to be a little bit more intense on this hole. And
this looks really nice.
Oh, that's a beautiful plane. Oh, wow.
Really hit the pass.
That's a shot tracker coming up. Come on, let's see it. Oh, no shot tracker. That was so pretty.
Ricky's a little right, but it looks like it's swinging back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's edge of the circle.
Yeah, that's really the name of the game here is keep it low, away from that ceiling, and throw a driver that's just going to reliably flex back, and that's kind of what Ricky did there.
Good recovery from Simon. His drive got absolutely shut down by that branch.
The good old smackdown.
Chris with a nice little layup. Not much you can do after the drive turned over like it did. Looks like Ricky's, 40 feet?
Yeah, it came up just a little bit shorter than it looked there.
Oh, a little off the line.
This just could be the fact that he's so far out in front of the field. I mean, not saying that he makes that putt every single time. That's not a tap-in putt
in
these conditions. But there's something to be said about when there's somebody right in your coattails versus having 7 strokes on the field.
Yeah, and especially when the guy that's right behind you has already hit the first tree and has nothing but a par coming up. But obviously Rick was trying to make that as just a little bit of a miscue. And it, that's a testament to how good his putting is, where you can see a 40-footer and go, oh, wow, what's happening now? Rick missed it. Weird.
Yeah, and that was an excellent Windmaster birdie from JohnE McCray.
Yes.
Made that drive look so easy. It's just not.
No, not at all.
So hole 4 is it's a fun little par 4. This is one of the kind of the tweenery par 4s. And I say that because I know that I've seen some drives get just outside circle 2. So it's one of those holes that you really can't get into the circle, but you can put yourself in a jump putt distance if you get a really good tee shot.
Okay.
But the main trouble is you have that OB wall on the left, which is kind of out of play. Not many people can reach that one. But there is an OB wall that is kind of protecting the players from landing in a thorn patch over there to the left. And so what you will see a lot of players do is throw the hyzer or the forced anhyzer out there where Chris is, and that gives them pretty much a wide open approach to the basket.
Yeah, how far would you say Chris is from the basket there? Under 200?
Oh yeah, certainly under 200. That is past that OB area there. Simon was like almost jump putting all 4 rounds. And that is the only thing that you really have to worry about with the hyzer route. You have to kind of hug it pretty tight, and if you don't, then that's what happens. So
yeah, looks like he made a recovery shot that'll give him a chance, but Simon and Rick both found a little trouble on that hyzer route.
Yeah, so I was wrong. Simon was actually not past it. He came up short, but a nice recovery shot. And that's kind of the thing about this hole is it's not difficult enough to really challenge a bad tee shot. I saw several players throughout the tournament hit something early and still manage to have a look for their birdie.
Sure.
And there's a lot of other par 4s in this course that do not allow that. And Chris was, man, his drive was even further than I thought. A great approach shot made it look very easy.
Wind got under Simon's a little. But yeah, JohnE McCray also just showing you that the textbook kind of cut the hole in half, played up the middle strategy. Nice putt from Ricky.
There he is.
So there it is right there. I mean, saving birdie from, by all accounts, a pretty bad drive.
Right.
Simon gets the par. It looked like JohnE just kind of went mid-range, maybe.
Yeah, I think that he actually is throwing a putter. That certainly is a putter approach. That was, you're going to have to remind me what he putts with again.
Didn't somebody say a shield or something?
Yes, thank you. It's a shield. And he said it's pretty overstable. Yeah, every single time I ever saw him throw that red shield, it was for a big anhyzer shot. And we're back from our commercial break. On to probably I put it up there as one of the top 2 or 3 signature holes in the course. It's just a lot of fun to throw this one. It's a lot of fun to attack it. If you're not attacking, it's pretty straightforward and boring. But it's so there for the attack. And,
risk reward abound here, so that's nice.
And there's JohnE with that shield again, so I can maybe see what he's saying with a little bit of overstability. But yeah, this is a smart thing to do. I mean, if you, there's no real need to attack this hole unless you just are trying to have a really good time, because it's a lot of fun. If you get on the green here, it feels so good.
How downhill does this hole feel?
Pretty downhill. It plays downhill enough that 495 feels closer to 440.
Okay.
And that is the one tree, and he just barely nicks it but gets through it.
Nice shot.
That's the tree that makes the players really question whether it's worth going for this one or not, because Simon kind of was just playing, I don't know, playing the odds there that he was going to get through that tree. But that shot was beautiful, as you could see off the tee. But an inch higher, an inch lower, maybe he hits a branch and drops down OB. That's why if you have the power to get that wide hyzer 495 feet, I feel like that's the best play. And I love seeing that. That's so much fun.
The only player I've ever seen with that uses the turbo as much as JomezE. I mean, over that gap and everything is pretty incredible.
No!
Oh no.
No!
Wow, that was pretty close. That off the front rim and up through the chains. Needed a centimeter higher.
That is just like one of the stupidest varieties of spit outs you'll ever see.
But if you put it higher, it wouldn't happen. So it's it sucks. You could definitely see that shot going in, but if he puts it a little higher, it's not happening. Like Chris did, he showed him the way. Get it up in the chains.
No offense to SloMez. Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Wow. I guess I spoke too soon about getting up higher in the chains. Maybe this basket's just having a kind of a bad afternoon.
Oh my goodness. I had not seen one spit out throughout the tournament until last round, and so far on this card we have 3, and on other cards I witnessed several more. I mean, there was something going on Sunday in Jonesboro, Arkansas. There was some weird voodoo in the air. That is 2 for Ricky so far, just through 5 holes.
Wow.
And Simon's only at 2077 back. Johnny's at 6 back. He's starting to make it interesting.
Absolutely.
So here's a beautiful hole, really just sitting right there ready for someone to ace it. It's just a really fun little shot with the banked green like that. Nice little place to get the tournament sponsors a nice little look on camera.
Yeah, and I love the at 315, I love the size of the green, like the ratio of length to the size of the island.
Right.
I feel like really is well designed.
And good thing that it is as wide as it is. Nicely done there. Yeah, I agree with that. I think people all too often try to make islands even harder than they really need to be. Just the concept of introducing an island already introduces the pucker effect, I believe.
Yes.
And you don't need to make it harder than, oh, hang on. Okay. That was Ricky's felon that he threw in that hole all 4 times. And it's just, people will make the hole harder than it is if there's an island. And so it's nice that they didn't try to make this like a 25-foot wide from 350 island.
Yes, I agree.
And yeah, okay. So Ricky's like, how can this thing just stay in the basket here at this point?
Yeah, that's a difficult putt coming back after you had a dead center one fall out on you. But Rick's a pro, so he knows he just got to keep doing what he does.
Right. Don't change anything up. A nice putt from Simon, nice putt from Chris, nice putt from Ricky.
Yeah, nobody really parked this hole, but they all kind of left themselves a little bit of a tester, and they're nailing them.
And well done from Johnny.
Yes.
Something interesting, if you want to go back and look at it, it seemed like Ricky's follow-through, which is usually so consistent, was a little bit twitchy there, and I think that could be slightly from the from what he's had happen to him 2 times through the first 5.
You could hardly blame him.
Yeah, it changes the way that you think when you're putting. It's like, all right, what I'm doing is supposed to be working, it's not working. So what can I do now to fix it?
So this par 4, it just kind of sweeps left, but then a hard right break right at the end.
It's pretty straight the whole way, but if you aren't going to be throwing a forehand approach for a right-hand player, then it is pretty beneficial to get pretty far left to increase your angle into the green. There are a couple of blocker trees that make it difficult to swing in unless you have the low ceiling forehand. And really, I think the best play for somebody who can throw a forehand approach is just to go straight up the gut. And I say up the gut, it's about it's about a 200-foot wide fairway. But right down the middle, as far as you can, and just really cut the distance down on this one.
Yeah, it looks like these guys are reaching back and taking some pretty big rips. So they're trying to get out there quite a long way, like you're talking about, and maybe move a little left. It looked like Chris went a little bit right, but he should still have something he can work with.
Yeah, Chris is the only one that appeared to go just for distance, and the rest of them are all trying to go for that backdoor route with the wide hyzer, and that was just textbook there from Johnny.
Yeah, that was perfect. I was a little worried Johnny's drive was too low when he let it go, but it found a great spot.
And good approach there also from Rick. Leave him about 20 feet left. Chris turned his over a bit more, and when you're that turned over, the only route that I think really makes sense, because you don't want to hit one of those trees, is to throw the hyzer over the top, and that wind, it really isn't the right play for those conditions. Maybe on Thursday or Friday, but once the wind started picking up Saturday and Sunday, made that shot much more difficult.
Yeah, it didn't appear like it had much ability to move into the green.
And Robot Chicken comes up just a little bit short and left.
Chris is a famous lover of fried chicken products in general.
Chicken tenders, plain cheese pizza, chicken tenders with no dipping sauce.
Yeah. He keeps it down the middle. A good birdie from Simon.
Yeah, great putt there. Oh, Ricky holds a follow through, saying, "Hey, look."
Yeah.
I put you in there. You stay.
Yeah. He's putting the spit outs behind him.
And the robot part of the nickname for Chris really just comes from, he is just one of the most methodical robotic players, I feel like. Even the way he walks is just like beep, boop, beep.
I think it comes from just how committed he is to his pre-shot routine, which is, that's smart.
Yeah.
But it does come off kind of robotic. I mean, it's a good word for it.
Yep.
Because he really does commit, and it looks the same every time.
So we still have Johnny 6 back of Ricky and Simon 7 back. And hole 8 shouldn't be anything too interesting here. Pretty straightforward turnover shot for Johnny here with his shield. It's really tight to those trees though, so this turnover shot's pretty difficult unless you're that good.
Nice. Yeah, he swung it nice and wide to make sure he misses all the trees, and he can really be moving right.
There's the FollowFlight. Yeah. Man.
It's a perfect shot.
He was just on fire with that disc all week. He's just on point. And Simon, he goes all 4 rounds with the roller with the D-line FD.
Uh-huh.
And he looks like he's just got it far enough where that rough isn't going to be in play.
Yeah, he looks like he'll have a decent putt from there.
And Ricky kind of playing with the too tight line, you're going to get yourself in trouble. He looks like he probably still has a look, though. But it's going to be tricky in there.
This has got a little more width.
Oh, wow. Look at the wind just swing that thing. Yeah, it was so windy. Really had to play out wider than you'd like. And
I mean, and that wind really, that just makes Johnny's putter shot all the more impressive.
right.
Wow, Rick's going to have some work to do coming back.
And that was a harp putt. Great putt there. That's
Nice.
back to making 3 putts in a row now. Well, minus the last one.
Three routine putts in a row.
3 routine putts in a row. Yeah, the putt with the harp was something that I see him practicing quite a bit. Nice birdie there from Simon with the unorthodox roller line.
Yeah, creative line for sure. Simon's always good for a creative line.
Yeah, but I've been seeing Ricky putt a lot with the harp in practice. Something to just avoid the wind, a little bit more overstable than his daggers, and the way he putts it, it really doesn't look like it's a different putter than his dagger. He just puts it a little bit lower, a little bit more spin, and it's just something that fights the wind a little bit better.
Nice. Great birdie from Johnny. But yeah, I just think the overstable putter can be a little easier to trust sometimes when you're going into a strong headwind. So I think Rick's making a smart decision there, practicing that. Down to 5 strokes, man. This is kind of getting interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think that we were going to have an interesting battle going into the back 9, but it looks like it's shaping up that way. And speaking of hole 9, this is this I still don't know. I played the hole 6 times now, and I still don't know what to do. So I watch a lot of people birdie it and make it look easy, but it's anything but that. That is just a perfectly whipped drive, and he's still going to have a really tricky approach. Even with that great drive, he's going to be in an interesting spot.
You're looking for kind of just a long hyzer, finish slightly to the left, and then what do you got on your hands after you do that?
I don't even know. Like, you can hyzer it to the left side of the tree in front that you see out there in the distance, or and I think Ricky might be trying to do kind of what he did there. Well, maybe not quite there, but if you finish right side of that tree, you will have a good forehand approach.
Okay.
Which suits the hillside better, I feel like, than a backhand. The backhand has the availability of hitting one of the low ceiling branches that's just short of the green, which can knock it down. But the forehand approach will stay clear of them and will allow you to hyzer into the hillside, clear of those branches that you see Simon just barely getting under. So that's was
a great shot.
That's incredible. Yeah. That's like better than incredible. That's just like superstar. But I saw Ricky in this spot maybe 4 times, and he was almost under that tree all 4 rounds, and just has those little low ceiling limbs to play through, and he made it look routine time and time again.
Is this the hole where he hit the basket for eagle?
Yes, this is the same.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and he was way out of position that round too, and it's just like none of us heard anything. No one up by the green said anything, so we get up there and they're like, "Yeah, you hit the basket." We're like, "Oh, cool." that's
Speaking
good.
of that branch, man, it just caught both Chris and Johnny.
Yeah, this branch has to catch 75% of the discs that come near it. It's just really thick, and when at that distance, it stops you at just outside circle's edge, and that's just about the distance that really keeps you from really wanting to run this basket. If you can see how sloped it is behind, it really is a tricky. Oh my goodness.
Oh
Wow. It really makes it difficult to run that putt from where Johnny and Chris were.
Yeah, definitely.
If you can
Great birdie from Simon though.
Yeah, and now he's 6 back. But if you can be off to the side, either left side or right side, and have the cross hill run at it from maybe the circle's edge, then you could have a little more pep in your putt. But the downhill putt here slopes away so quick, and there's even water back there that you can get into. So
yeah, it doesn't look that far to the water.
No, it's not.
All right, we got 2 guys just 5 back from Rick.
5 back.
That's it for our front 9 coverage. So for myself, Nate Sexton, for Jeremy, for Jomez, thanks a lot for tuning in, guys, and please join us for the the finish to the Jonesboro Open. Last 9 holes coming up.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be an exciting finish. Thanks, guys.